The phrase greatest of all time is thrown around in sports culture often, and more times than not, it happens early in an athlete's career. Superstars such as LeBron James, Dwight Gooden, Peyton Manning, and Mike Tyson were all thrust into the spotlight as greatest of all time. And while Manning and James still have something to say on the matter, the same cannot be said for Gooden and Tyson, who found that fame and fortune were overwhelming and eventually the root of their decline. Enter Jon "Bones" Jones, a handsome and charismatic New York native who also happens to be the current light heavyweight champion in the UFC, the fast-growing sports league that recently catapulted to the national stage with a 7-year, $700 million broadcast deal with the Fox family of networks. At 23 years of age, Jones became the youngest champion in UFC history, capturing the title by tearing through the division's veterans in an unparalleled display of mixed martial arts prowess. Jones has been called the future of mixed martial arts, a prodigy. His dynamic fighting style has captured the attention of mixed martial arts fans across the globe. But Jones is a young man who already has a deep understanding of what it takes to win in life and in sports. At a young age, he encountered tragedy and hardship, causing him to question the faith that clearly anchors him and binds his tight-knit family together. Jones's story is one of a man who has taken the road less traveled, a role model for young men across America. Whether Jones will go down as the greatest mixed martial artist of all time is yet to be determined, but it seems the only person capable of standing in the way of Jones's meteoric rise is Jon Jones himself. The Ultimate Fighting Championship, or UFC as it's commonly referred, is arguably the fastest-growing professional sports league in the world, and their rapid expansion has allowed the organization to hold events across the globe, opening offices in 4 continents along the way. And UFC owner and CEO Lorenzo Fertitta believes that what we're seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg.
You know, people talk about, oh, you'll never be bigger than the NFL. I mean, I would say we're getting, if you take the whole world and wrap that around, I'd say we're actually getting close with our worldwide reach. I mean, we do have a special thing in that this is truly the only sport that you take to any corner of the earth, any country, people that speak any language. You show them, you put 2 guys in the Octagon, let them use any martial art they want to compete. Everybody gets it. Everybody watches it. It appeals to everyone.
And while there have been several dominant champions in the league's history, like George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva, none of these fighters seem to have created the type of buzz as their current light heavyweight title holder, Johnny "Bones" Jones. From the moment Jones burst onto the UFC scene in August of 2008, the comparisons to one of his childhood idols, iconic boxer Muhammad Ali, began. The hype is certainly not unwarranted. He holds a 15-1 career record, with 13 of those victories coming by way of knockout or submission. As creative in the cage as anyone the sport has ever seen, he has become the blueprint for what many budding mixed martial artists aspire to be. And he'll be taking all of that talent, as well as a 6-fight win streak, into the cage when he battles bitter rival and former training partner Rashad Evans at UFC 145 on April 21st, where he'll defend his title for the 3rd time. Already in his short career, he's been named Newcomer of the Year, Fighter of the Year, has collected 4 post-fight win bonuses for outstanding performance, and was even named the world's most dangerous man at the Guys' Choice Awards this past year, accomplishing all of this by the ripe old age of 24. there is much more to the man Jon Jones than what goes down inside the UFC Octagon and on pay-per-view. Jones is also a devout Christian, a loyal family man, and a father of 3 young girls. He may train for his fights in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but his roots are all New York, raised upstate, where his parents still live today.
Grew up in the inner city of Rochester and, never really had too much outside of lots of love and great parents. That's all I really ever needed,
Jon's father, Arthur Jones Jr., is the pastor of the Mount Sinai Church of God in Christ in Binghamton, New York. And when he wasn't preaching sermons to his fellowship, you could likely find him in the stands watching one of his 3 sons compete in the sport of the season. There's little doubt that Jon's competitive side was fueled by Arthur, and if his vocal motivation wasn't enough, perhaps the monetary rewards were. Anything to show that hard work does indeed pay off.
My dad's a great guy, he's a pastor, so not only did he deal with a whole congregation, spiritual needs and problems they were going through, but he also managed to give us his full attention and be a man to us. So I'm appreciative and I'm glad to have him. I felt growing up he was always a little harder on me. We looked a lot alike and we had the same personality, so we would butt heads a lot. But now that I'm an adult, I appreciate everything that I've gone through with my father because he's made me the strong man that I am today. He's made me the leader and the father that I am today. He was a guy who was so passionate about us succeeding in sports to the point where he would show up and just watch us wrestle. And he'd be in the stands and just watch us play football. He made wrestling this competition for us where he would give us $6 if we got a pin, and he gave us, I think, like $2 if we won, in the finals. So, that really motivated us at a young age to, if you work hard and you really push it and give it all you got, you can make a living for yourself, and that was kind of the message behind it. I strive to be a lot like my father and do a good job as a parent and as a man.
Another strong force in the Jones household was his mother, Camille. If Jon's father was the motivator, Camille was the disciplinarian. She may have ruled with an iron fist, but she gave with a heart of gold, something Jon says helped him see the world from a very different perspective.
My mom, she's the strong one of the household. I think she wears the pants in the house, for sure. I mean, she's very bold. She tells how she feels. She tells exactly how it is. She's very compassionate at the same time. I've learned a lot from my mom. She's a strong, amazing woman. I remember from a young age, she's always kept us in the soup kitchens at our church, feeding the homeless. And, I always remember her helping out a lot of women who dealt with domestic violence and self-esteem issues and things like that. She's always been there for people. So I think that's the biggest thing I learned from my mom is just genuinely trying to care about complete strangers and, caring about other people's well-being. She worked with the adult mentally handicapped her whole life, so it's another thing she kind of taught us at a young age, just to not judge people and be comfortable with people despite what their problems are or issues are.
Tell me about your brothers specifically.
I have 2 brothers, Arthur and Chandler. I'm the middle. We're best of friends. Me and Arthur especially, we were always in the same grade. So we have the same best friends, we have the same hobbies, same facial expressions, same everything. He plays for the Baltimore Ravens and he has a place in Baltimore, him and his fiance. He's a great kid, great athlete.
We're really close, we do everything together. Jon's my best friend, we take trips all the time together. We went to Bahamas last year together. After this fight we're planning on maybe go to Africa, go hunting. So we just do a lot of things together, it's my best friend.
And rounding out the Jones family of world-class athletes is his younger brother Chandler, who's projected to go as a first-round pick in this month's NFL draft.
Chandler and I, we were roommates growing up. We never had our own bedroom, so we also know each other like the back of each other's hand. He just graduated from Syracuse University. I think he's 21 now, and did really good at AP Sports. All of his numbers this year were top 10, and I'm really happy for him. I think he just met a little girlfriend, and he's traveling and flying across the country and doing all types of nice things for himself now. So I'm really happy he's starting to reap the rewards of all the hard work he's put in.
You and your family have dealt with some pretty real stuff, including the loss of your sister. Pretty trying time, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. In 2000, the oldest of us all, my sister, passed away within a 2 years' time of figuring out she had brain cancer. And it was really tough for us. We pretty much had to raise ourselves for those 2 years, cooking our own meals and and even putting tubes on her nose to give her Ensure medications and things like that. It was a lot for us. It grew us up really fast, and it made us really just appreciate every day and every relationship that we have.
Now you talk about your relationship with God a lot. A lot of people during those really trying times find themselves questioning their spirituality, going,
Definitely.
why would God let this happen to us?
Definitely.
Was there moments like that for you too?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in the church, and to see a girl who kind of seemed flawless to me at the time. She was only 18 when she died, and she was a part of the church. She was a part of our choir. She was on the high school basketball team, high honor roll student. She was doing everything right. She was a great girl. She wasn't partying or doing anything crazy. And then to have her just everything taken away from her, her beauty, her hair, to have it all fall out. It was hard to see, and it was hard to witness and kind of grasp and understand why God would do something like that to our family, let alone our family, but to her. But, it happened, and it was just a time for me to really evaluate what I thought about religion, and I've decided that I was going to stick with my religion and continue to believe that everything happens for a reason. And now today I look at it this way, you have these 3 pro athletes, and we're all happy with our lives, and then we have a sister who's in heaven watching it front row.
In fact, the loss of his sister proved there wasn't much that could push Jones away from his faith, a topic he speaks on often, shunning the criticism while offering a little piece of advice.
I believe that religion and Christianity is not for perfect people. It's for people who confesses that they have issues and problems and that they need a savior, and they need to work to be better. So that's me. I'm a sinner who's trying my best to be a good Christian, and that's really the name of the game.
Because you've been so vocal about it, do you find that people are kind of waiting for you to screw up?
Yeah, definitely.
Wait a second, I saw him doing something that wasn't Christian enough.
Definitely. I think a lot of people are waiting for me to screw up. But my response to that is to not judge Christianity on me, because I will screw it up every time. Christianity is really about the relationship between you and God, not really another Christian's lifestyle. Ultimately, I'm just a man. I really feel as if, in some cases, I'm blessed with God's favor, to just not let too many things go wrong, as long as I'm trying to seek Him and do my best in life. I've never gotten seriously injured, and I've never gotten any injury for that matter. I've never gotten a black eye or fat lip or fatter lips, anything. And that's always a touchy topic, and it could be offensive. But I believe He's looking out for me in some ways. Getting injuries and getting hit and things, these are things that have to happen. I fight for a living. And I do get hit and things like that, but I don't take too much damage, and I haven't gotten injured. And I'm just really grateful for it, because, I get in cage fights with the toughest men in the world for a living, and to not get any injuries, it's a blessing.
There's already been talk about Jon Jones being the greatest of all time when it comes to mixed martial arts. Is that something that you embrace? Is that something that you're ready for, or it still seems like it's a little ways off for you?
I believe it's a ways off, but I'm working towards making it true, and I believe that I'm on a path that I can control to making it come true. You know what I mean? It's like there's been a lot of athletes who get all this accolade, and people telling them that they're the greatest and they're the next Muhammad Ali and all this type of stuff, and then they start believing it, and they stop training, and they start treating people differently, and they become someone different than the person they were at the beginning.
You've got people telling you now you're the best in the world, but they don't tell you that, once a month. They don't tell you that once every 2 months. They tell you every day. And if you're really into it, they'll tell you every hour, you're a genius. You're the greatest. You're a genius. You're the greatest. You hear that over and over, day in and day out. That can go to your head really quick. He's been exceptionally smart on how he's handled that. He's stayed humble. He's stayed calm. He's kept the same people around him, and that's very impressive.
This journey that I'm on can go as far as I take it, and only I can mess it up. And I'm very aware of guys like Mike Tyson and guys who were on such high pinnacles, and they messed it up. And I promised myself that I'm going to learn from athletes of the past and not go down the roads that they've gone down, and be an ultimate great athlete.
Take us back to when you were a young man, and you got these 2 brothers that are football players. You ended up doing wrestling, and then you become a mixed martial artist. Where did the road fork?
Going into my freshman year, I had a wrestling coach that said, John, if you dedicate your life and your energy and your determination towards wrestling, I could see you getting a free education one day. And if you want to better yourself, you need to dedicate yourself to this sport and passing your classes. I was never the strongest student, but I dedicated my life to wrestling wholeheartedly, and ended up passing these classes just so that I could wrestle. Really? Yeah.
That passionate?
Yeah, absolutely. Even in college, I kind of felt like I was going to school to pursue wrestling dreams, never to really pursue more education.
Jon realized his dream of wrestling in college and even won a junior college national championship while at Iowa Central. But his time there was cut short when Jon found out his girlfriend Jessie was pregnant with their first child. Jon was faced with a difficult choice: stay in school and move on to a full scholarship at Iowa State, or head back to New York to be with Jessie. Jon chose New York and family life, a decision that would prove to be a blessing in disguise.
Suddenly, I have a kid on the way, and suddenly my full scholarship to Iowa State was not there anymore. Suddenly, I'm a dropout, and I'm working at a bar, being a bouncer, and I'm telling people that I want to be a UFC fighter. It was kind of embarrassing in some ways. I always believed that if I did it, I could be good at it, and I give it my all. But to everyone in my hometown, as I'm training and working at a bar, I'm running into all these kids my age, and they're can I see your ID? And they're like, Jon, I thought you were in college. It's like, oh, well, actually, I thought I'd try the fighting thing. I'm like, oh, so you're a bouncer now, and you're gonna be a what? A cage fighter? I'm like, yeah, the UFC thing. I'm gonna try out for that, And at the time, I was just fighting the local shows, and they're like, oh, well, cool. I'm in my last year and my accounting degree or my business major. At that point in my life, I really learned how to communicate on different levels, and I started to realize that my degree doesn't define me. So it kind of matured me really fast to really develop life skills. I believed in myself wholeheartedly from day one, and I made sure that all those kids that I was looking in the eyes, telling them that I wanted to be a UFC fighter, and the ones that doubted me or looked at me funny, I made sure that I would prove them wrong one day. And now I think I'm one of the biggest prides in my hometown. So.
On April 12, 2008, Jon Jones, then 20 years old, stepped into the cage for his first professional mixed martial arts bout. He won by TKO in the first round. The very next week, he found himself back inside the cage with another knockout victory. In fact, Jon's first 6 pro fights came in just under 12 weeks. Then, he got the call that every fighter dreams of: a chance to compete in the UFC. On August 9, 2008, a mere 4 months into his professional MMA career, Jon Jones stood across the cage from Andre Gusmao at UFC 87. You're walking to the cage for the first time for your first mixed martial arts fight. What are the emotions that you're feeling?
I felt so great. I remember a feeling of making it. I even wore a UE Tiger jacket, which was my high school wrestling jacket. I wanted to show my hometown, hey guys, I'm from where you guys are from, and I made it. And now I'm gonna represent you guys, and I'm gonna represent my family and my coaches, and I'm gonna do my best. It was a great feeling. I remember when it came to the actual fight, I felt inferior to my opponent because I didn't have big name coaches. I didn't have any cool equipment or any, anything. This guy was trained by Hensel Gracie, and I just felt inferior to him. I felt like I didn't really deserve to be there, even though I had worked so hard to be there. And I remember winning that fight, and it was an ugly war, but I won the fight. And the moment they said, and the winner is Jon Bones Jones, and I got my hand raised, just dreams and ideals of making it and prosperity just came to me instantly. And I was just like, wow, I just beat somebody in the UFC. I can do this. I can make a future for myself. And I just remember I had my hands up and I just screamed, ah. And it was the most passionate scream ever. And to this day, when I see replays of it, I'm just like, wow, that was real fire and passion right there.
Ever since you came into the UFC, that's when you popped onto most people's radar. But even before that, doing this mixed martial arts thing from the beginning was really going really well.
I had been training for about 2 months, and I took my first fight. I went out there and won it in about a minute 30 seconds.
Yeah. And then right after that, next weekend, I'm doing it again.
Yep, and then the following Friday, the manager I had at the time, he found me another fight, and I won that one. My passion and fire to be successful and to provide for my family that was coming, it didn't take much to impress me and to motivate me to train even harder and go for it even more.
There is one loss on your record, and for everyone in the know, it's not a real loss. It was a disqualification because of an elbow, and the disqualification in and of itself is a bit controversial. Does that ever eat at you and bother you?
No, I'm grateful for everything that's happened in my life. I've tasted defeat in wrestling so many times, and it's made it so where I know what it's like to be defeated, and I work hard to make sure it doesn't happen in this sport that I've joined. I think if I was undefeated, it could alter my mindset. I think I would try to maybe fight to stay undefeated instead of fighting to win. I'm not undefeated. I'm not invincible. We all make mistakes. And I realize that
Nobody's invincible and everybody can be beaten. And so we never go at a situation saying there's no one in this division that can beat Jon Jones, because I don't feel that way. Each fight is a challenge. Each fight has a life of its own. And if you look at it like no one can beat you, then you've already been there without earning it. You've got to earn that. So for me, everybody can beat Jon Jones. We just want to try to prevent them from doing that.
If there's one criticism that I've ever heard about Jon Jones, it's that you're cocky, that people think that you know that you're as good as you really are. How do you take that as well, with all of the good stuff, the bad stuff?
I believe that if things simply aren't true, then they won't stick. And I have a very strong following. And I think it's because people see my sincerity and they see the person that I am in life and as an athlete. In life, I'm a giver. I'll give the shirt off my back. I'm a lover. I'm a person who cares about people, complete strangers. As a person, I believe that I'm on a decent track. I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm on a decent track. And cocky would be for me to tweet pictures about the success that I've had and brag and show people, oh, look at this and look at me. That's cocky. Floyd Mayweather, he's cocky. Yeah. I heard someone say once, every person that you come encounter with, your goal should be into some way to better them, to better their life, to make them feel that much better.
Here's Mother Teresa.
Yeah, these are important things to me. This is the life that I want to live for myself. These are the thoughts that I constantly speak and constantly surround myself with, right? Which can only promote some level of positivity in others. So how can you call someone like that cocky? Now, as an athlete, we're talking a different story here.
He's not really cocky at all. If you were 24 and you had just done that kind of a run, you would actually be cocky. I think anybody would. I think he's very confident, which you need to be. He doesn't strike me as cocky at all. As a matter of fact, just the opposite. He's always asking me questions about technique. So he's still coachable. He's not coming in and telling us what we're going to do. He's still humble. He still wants to learn all the time. He takes the normal jiu-jitsu classes with us.
Gotta have fire. You gotta have fire. Because at the end of the day, I'm playing a game.
Right.
You play me in the UFC video game, I'm gonna be talking a little trash to you.
Sure.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna, oh yeah, I'm the best. You know what I mean? You gotta have it. You gotta have it. As a champion, you have to have it. You gotta have a little edge over your opponents mentally. You have it. You have to have it. Everyone can go and lift weights and pump iron and be in a gym and punch people. But what sets us all apart is the way we think.
If you're not confident in yourself, if you're not a little bit cocky about yourself, then you're not going to be champ. There's the humble champs, but they know that they're good. You know what I mean? Jon Jones doesn't go out telling everybody he's good. Everybody else does it for him.
People say he's gifted and he's talented. There's a lot of people like that. But if you don't have the drive that he does and the passion, you're not going to be Jon Jones. And that's why there's only one Jon Jones.
Ultimately, people are going to love me and people are going to hate me despite what I do and how I carry myself. And I think it just comes with the territory of being a champion, the scrutiny and the criticism. So I think I deal with it well. The Baltimore Ravens motto is to have skin like armadillo. And I've become pretty immune to other people's opinions of me.
Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, Jack Nicklaus, Babe Ruth, all names synonymous with their respective sports and all widely considered the greatest players to ever play their game. Only time will tell if Jon Jones' name will be added to this list, putting his face on the Mount Rushmore of larger-than-life athletes. But one thing is for sure, the rise of Jon Jones has been remarkable, and seeing where this road leads is a thrilling notion for all sports fans, as we all could be witnessing greatness in the making.
Can he keep this up? That's the real question. Can he keep this up and be the greatest fighter of all time? And there's only one thing that'll answer that question, that's time. He's on track to do it, certainly. Even if he loses a fight in the future or if he wins all of them in the future, the question is going to be, can he keep handling stuff the way he's been handling it? And I think he can.
When you train as hard as I train and you believe and you have the self-conviction that I have, there's no need to doubt yourself. I think when you doubt yourself, you're already starting off at a disadvantage, and I'm not going to do that.
As long as he keeps his head down, keeps pushing forward, stays focused and committed to the sport, then there's no ceiling for him.
I don't want to pump the brakes at all.
Keep going.
I want to keep going. Last year I fought 4 times against some of the toughest competition you can ask for, and it was just mind-blowing and unbelievable. I look back on it, I can't even believe that I did it. But I feel as if in some ways I'm just getting started, and who knows what levels I can take this thing. It's like, I look at a lot of great athletes like Michael Jordan and people who just have done extraordinary things. And these were people who pushed the envelope at the time where no one had pushed it farther than them. And in some ways, I want to be the guy to push the envelope so far, farther than I can even fathom sitting here in front of you today. So I'm just going to continue to work really, really hard and continue to believe and continue to deal with the critics and everything that I'm going through, and see if I can really set a whole new envelope. Muhammad Ali said it the best: the only limitations that we have are the ones that we put on ourselves, and I'm not one to limit myself.